a man who stood in front of a column of tanks on June 4, 1989, the morning after the Chinese military had suppressed the Tiananmen Square protests of 1989 by force, became known as the tank man or unknown protester. The tanks maneuvered to pass by the man, and he moved to continue to obstruct them, in something like a dance. The incident was filmed and seen worldwide. There is no reliable information about the identity or fate of the tank man. Some have said he was Wang Weilin. The incident took place near Tiananmen on Chang'an Avenue, which runs east-west along the north end of Tiananmen Square in Beijing, China, on June 4, 1989, one day after the Chinese government's violent crackdown on the Tiananmen protests. The man stood in the middle of the wide avenue, directly in the path of a column of approaching Type 59 tanks. He wore a white shirt and black trousers, and held two shopping bags, one in each hand. As the tanks came to a stop, the man gestured towards the tanks with his bags. In response, the lead tank attempted to drive around the man, but the man repeatedly stepped into the path of the tank in a show of non-violent action. After repeatedly attempting to go around rather than crush the man, the lead tank stopped its engines, and the armored vehicles behind it seemed to follow suit. There was a short pause with the man and the tanks having reached a quiet, still impasse. Having successfully brought the column to a halt, the man climbed onto the hull of the buttoned-up lead tank and, after briefly stopping at the driver's hatch, appeared in video footage of the incident to call into various ports in the tank's turret. He then climbed atop the turret and seemed to have a short conversation with a crew member at the gunner's hatch. After ending the conversation, the man descended from the tank. The tank commander briefly emerged from his hatch, and the tanks restarted their engines, ready to continue on. At that point, the man, who was still standing within a meter or two from the side of the lead tank, leapt in front of the vehicle once again and quickly re-established the man-tank standoff. Video footage shows two figures in blue pulling the man away and disappearing with him into a nearby crowd. The tanks continued on their way. Eyewitnesses are unsure who pulled him aside. Charlie Cole said it was the Chinese government PSB, while Jan Wang thought that the men who pulled him away were concerned bystanders. In April 1998, Time included the unknown rebel in a feature titled Time 100, The Most Important People of the Century. Identity and fate. Little is publicly known of the man's identity or that of the commander of the lead tank. Shortly after the incident, the British tabloid The Sunday Express named him as Wang Weilin, a 19-year-old student who was later charged with political hooliganism, and attempting to subvert members of the People's Liberation Army. However, this claim has been rejected by internal Communist Party of China documents, which reported that they could not find the man, according to the Hong Kong-based Information Center for Human Rights. One party member was quoted as saying, "We can't unregistered trademark T find him. We got his name from journalists. We have checked through computers but can't unregistered trademark T find him among the dead or among those in prison." Numerous theories have sprung up as to the man's identity and current whereabouts. There are several conflicting stories about what happened to him after the demonstration. In a speech to the President's Club in 1999, Bruce Hershenson, former Deputy Special Assistant to President Richard Nixon, reported that he was executed 14 days later. Other sources say he was executed by firing squad a few months after the Tiananmen Square protests. In Red China Blues, My Long March from Outer Now, Jan Wang writes that she believes from her interactions with the government press that they have no idea who he was either, and that he's still alive somewhere on the mainland. The government of the People's Republic of China has made few statements about the incident or the people involved. In a 1990 interview with Barbara Walters, then CPC General Secretary Jiang Zemin was asked what became of the man. Jiang first stated, "I can't confirm whether this young man you mentioned was arrested or not," and then replied in English, "I think. Never killed, sick." At the time, the party's propaganda apparatus referred to the incident as showing the humanity of the country's military. International notability and censorship. Internationally, The image of the lone man in front of the tank has come to symbolize the events at Tiananmen Square in 1989 and is widely considered one of the most iconic images of the 20th century. However, a PBS interview of 6 experts noted that the memory of the Tiananmen Square protests appears to have faded in China, especially among younger Chinese people, due to government censorship. Images of the protest on the Internet have been censored in China. When undergraduate students at Beijing University, which was at the center of the incident, were shown copies of the iconic photograph some years afterwards, they were genuinely mystified. One of the students said that the image was artwork. It is noted in the documentary Frontline, The Tank Man, that he whispered to the student next to him €89, which led the interviewer to surmise that the student may have concealed his knowledge of the event. It has been suggested that the unknown rebel, if still alive, never made himself known as he is unaware of his international recognition due to Chinese media suppression of events relating to government protest. At and after the events in the square, the PSB treated members of the international press roughly, confiscated and destroyed all the film they could find, and forced the signing of confessions to offenses such as photographing during martial law, punishable by long imprisonment. Photographic versions: 5 photographers managed to capture the event on film which was not confiscated by the PSB. On June 4, 2009, another photographer released an image of the scene taken from ground level. The widest coverage of the event, and one of the best-known photographs of the event as it appeared in Time and Life, was documented by Stuart Franklin. He was on the same balcony as Charlie Cole, and his roll of film was smuggled out of the country by a French student, concealed in a box of tea. The most used photograph of the event was taken by Jeff Widener of the Associated Press, from a 6th-floor balcony of the Beijing Hotel, about half a mile away from the scene. Widener was injured and suffering from flu. The image was taken using a Nikon FE2 camera through a NIC 400mm 5.6 EDIF lens and TC301 teleconverter. Widener was running out of film. A friend hastily obtained a roll of Fuji 100 ASA color negative film, allowing him to make the shot. Though he was concerned that his shots were not good, his image was syndicated to many newspapers around the world, and was said to have appeared on the front page of all European papers. Charlie Cole, working for Newsweek and on the same balcony as Stuart Franklin, hid his roll of film containing Tank Man in a Beijing hotel toilet, sacrificing an unused roll of film and undeveloped images of wounded protesters after the PSB raided his room, destroyed the 2 rolls of film just mentioned and forced him to sign a confession to photographing during martial law, an imprisonable offense. Cole was able to retrieve the roll and have it sent to Newsweek. Franklin won a World Press Award for a similar photo. It was featured in Life's 100 Photographs That Changed the World in 2003. On June 4, 2009, in connection with the 20th anniversary of the protests, Associated Press reporter Torald Jones revealed a photo he had taken showing the Tank Man from ground level, a different angle from all of the other known photos of the Tank Man. Jones wrote that he was not aware of what he had captured until a month later when printing his photos. Arthur Tsang-Hin. While Reuters took several shots from room 1111 of the Beijing hotel, but only the shot of Tank Man climbing the tank was chosen. It was not until several hours later that the photo of the man standing in front of the tank was finally chosen. When the staff noticed Widener's work, they rechecked WA's negative to see if it was of the same moment as Widener's. Later, on March 20, 2013, in an interview by the Hong Kong Press Photographers Association, WA told the story and added further detail. He told HKPPA that on the night of June 3, 1989, he was beaten by students while taking photos and was bleeding. A foreign photographer accompanying him suddenly said, "I am not gonna die for your country," and left. WA returned to the hotel. When he decided to go out again, the public security stopped him, so he stayed in his room, stood next to the window and eventually witnessed the Tank Man and took several shots on June 5, 1989. The scene was also recorded by crews from the BBC and CNN and transmitted across the world. One witness reported seeing Chinese tanks crashing vehicles and people early on June 4, the day before the Tank Man incident. Dramatizations: A fictionalized version of the fate of both the tank man and a soldier in the tank is told in Lucy Kirkwood's 2013 play Chimerica. See also, Chinese Democracy Movement, History of the People's Republic of China, Human Rights in the People's Republic of China, List of peace activists, References, Notes. Further reading, June 4, The True Story, Tiananmen Papers Tsunguo Lucy Xingxiang Volumes 1-2, Zhang Liang, ISBN 962-8744-36-4. Red China Blues, My Long March from Outer Now, Jan Wong, Doubleday, 1997, trade paperback, 416 pages, ISBN 0-385-48232-9, The Tiananmen Papers, The Chinese Leadership's Decision to Use Force Against Their Own Euro in Their Own Words, compiled by Zhang Liang, edited by Andrew J. Nathan and Perry Link, with an afterword by Orville Schell, Public Affairs, New York, 2001, hardback, 514 pages, ISBN 1-58648-012-X. An extensive review and synopsis of the Tiananmen Papers in the journal Foreign Affairs may be found at Review and Synopsis in the journal Foreign Affairs. External links, Behind the Scenes, Tank Man of Tiananmen, with link to video of the incident. The Stuart Franklin photo at Life magazine 100 Photos That Changed the World. Chinese, Professor disclosed heroic Wang Weilin still in world, Dajaiwan.com. Retrieved June 1, 2006. PBS Frontline documentary The Tank Man, 2006, program viewable online. Last retrieved July 29, 2008. The Tank Man documentary, viewable online. Time 100, The Unknown Rebel, Time, 1999.